What's going on, guys? It's Dill back with Anime Analysis, and since I've been catching up on all things Hunter x Hunter, I find it only fitting to take the time to narrate the entire story, start to finish in its entirety. So if you're new to Hunter x Hunter or just want a recap on the entire story thus far, just sit back, relax, and subscribe if you get value from this content. This is the first arc in the legendary story of Hunter x Hunter, the Hunter Exam arc. Our story describes a land riddled with strange beasts, mysterious treasures, mystical places, and unexplored territories. Places where there's mystery and the allure of the unknown all around it. For those brave enough in this world to go out and seek adventure and all the excitement the world has to offer are people known as hunters. Cutting over to a distant island in the shape of a whale, we're introduced to a young boy covered in leaves and fishing serenely in a tree sticking far above the waters below. Concentrated and attentive, the young boy waits for the perfect opportunity to reel in his line as he believes this is the exact fish that he's been waiting for. Popping out of the leaves and springing into action, the boy smiles with a huge grin as he yanks an absolutely massive fish out of the waters below and carries it happily back home to his Aunt Mito. Carrying it through his town, the citizens are shocked that a boy his age could even catch the fish at all, exclaiming that even 5 grown men together couldn't have caught this behemoth of a fish. Proudly, the boy states to his aunt that since he was able to catch the fish, she now had to hold up her end of the bargain as he held a mysterious rectangular card at her. In the next panel, we see that this card reads Hunter Exam Application Card. Nervous and at a loss for words, the aunt looks at the card, contemplating her decision on whether to send this boy to the exam he so eagerly wants to take part in. The townspeople joke as they explain that it's just an exam and to go let the boy become a hunter. Immediately, Aunt Mito lashes out, stating that it's much easier for them to say since they're clearly not as close with the boy as she is. However, he quickly responds to his aunt, saying that it's easier to say things, but meaning what you say is an entirely different story, essentially holding her to the initial agreement of taking the exam in the first place. Reluctantly and with a sigh, Aunt Mito allows the young boy to leave, calling him by the name Gon. And with that, Gon thanks his aunt and sprints off through the crowd of people with the anticipation and dream of finally becoming a hunter. Meanwhile, back at Aunt Mito's house, an elderly woman looks at a picture of a cloaked man sitting in front of a motorcycle, stating that blood will tell. Revealing that this man is indeed Gon's father, a frustrated Aunt Mito doesn't understand how Gon ever learned about his father and how he became a hunter. He's never asked and never wondered about his dad, so how could they share the same interests? The grandmother, consoling Mito, tells her that it was just a matter of time and that this day would ultimately come. She could tell after one look in his eye that Gon had the same vision as his father, and his decision was ultimately made the minute he set his sights on becoming a hunter. Panning back over to Gon, it's revealed that despite Mito's best efforts, he had known for a long time about his dad, and will soon begin to understand why. Placing his application in the mail, Gon runs off into the woods where he lets out a huge whistle. Immediately, a massive bear-like creature jumps out of the bushes, running towards Gon with a furious speed. Despite thinking he was going to get absolutely mauled, to my surprise, they end up hugging as you learn the two are actually really close friends. As Gon fishes for food and the bear creature eats, he finds himself staring at a card with a broken chain. The story then recaps 3 years in the past. A young Gon, injured in the woods and scared, encounters a massive bear-like creature similar to the one that he was friends with, guarding a group of its children. The massive creature lunges at Gon for a killing blow, but is immediately stopped by an unknown figure, as we see that same card Gon was looking at flying off into the distance. The mysterious figure with a blank expression on his face calls it a shame as no beast who tries to kill a human can be left to live, as he cuts it down in one swift motion. The man asks if Gon could stand, and the weak and scared boy walks towards him. Immediately and angrily, the man punches Gon straight in the face, calling him a moron for walking around the forest during this time of year. Showing the territorial marks of the fox bear on the trees around them, he asks if the boy's father bothered to teach him anything at all. Now he has this pointless kill to his name. Gon explains that both his mom and dad are gone due to some accident, so now he lives on this island with his aunt. The man throws Gon some antiseptic and goes to kill the fox bear cub that its mother was guarding. Since it hadn't been weaned, it's either left to be killed or starved to death. And by some chance, if it does survive, it may as well hold a grudge against him for the murder of its mother. Quickly, Gon leaps in front of the man, hugging the fox bear cub tightly, saying how he'll take care of it. The man tells Gon that it's no use and fox bears are wild to their very core, as it's scratching Gon Gon's shirt and skin. With an adamant look in his eye, the man is shocked and asks the kid if he had a father named Jing. Asking if the man knew his dad, he explains that's the reason he's here in the first place. He introduces himself as a hunter named Kite, and Jing is his teacher. He's taught him everything about the basics of being a hunter, and in order to pass his final test, he needs to do one simple thing: find him. Kite explains that Jing is the best hunter there is, and if he hadn't met him long ago, he would have died like a dog in some alleyway. He lets Gon know that his aunt just told him that his parents were dead in order to protect him, but Jing is well and alive out in the world. Kite lets him know that his bloodline speaks volumes, and that's apparent because all good hunters get along with animals, as the fox bear cub looks at him with an innocent stare. And with that, Gon leaves his forest friends, telling him that he's going to be a hunter. Back in his village, Gon's talking to Aunt Mito when she asks if he knew all along what his father did. She even admits that he left Gon with her when he was just a little baby. She questions that despite this knowledge, will he still go and look for him? Gon, deep in thought, responds that being a hunter must be such an important job, so important in fact that family even comes second. A startled Mito spits out her drink and turns to look at Gon quickly. Gon, with a smile in his eyes, says being a hunter isn't for weaklings, Aunt Mito. Devastated, Aunt Mito storms off into another room. Gon, while apologetic, acknowledges that he is Jing's son, and since there's no other hunter in the world like him, it's time he became one as well and finally met him. As he leaves Whale Island, all the townspeople give him gifts and tell him to take care of himself. Aunt Mito, at the dock, admits to lying to Gon again, telling him that Jing didn't abandon him, but rather she made him give Gon up. Gon, reading through this lie, tells her that whenever she does lie, she never looks him straight in the eye, as they give each other one final hug. As the ship sets sail away from Whale Island, Gon tells Aunt Mito that she watch as he comes back a great hunter. People aboard the ship hearing this laugh to themselves, telling him that there are countless aspiring hunters, but only a few actually pass the exam. And it's so dangerous in fact that they tell Gon that the exam is the last thing he'll ever attempt in his life, so don't go getting cocky. Later that night, it's revealed that the ship is encountering tumultuous waves as lightning crackles behind them. As the ship barrels around the rough waters, passengers are being tossed all within the cabin below. The next morning, when the captain checks on the passengers, he finds most of them completely laid out. Thinking to himself that most of these people aren't even cut out to be hunters, he sees Gon rush across the hallway with things in his hands. We soon discover that Gon is actually tending to the sick passengers, giving them some herbs that will make them feel better. In a hammock behind him, we see an edgy looking character resting peacefully, and a perverted middle-aged man reading some rather sketchy books. The captain, smirking to himself, sees the potential in these three passengers. As the ship continues on its course, the captain assures each of the passengers to take it easy because real soon it's gonna be busy. As a focused Gon looks out into the distance, the captain asks him if he sees anything in particular, to which Gon remarks that a big storm is coming. The captain asks why he believes this, and Gon responds by saying the wind's tepid and salty, and the sea cranes are calling out warnings. Due to Gon's upbringing on Whale Island, we learn that he has a keen sense for all things nature and animals, and the captain realizes this too. Seeing the resemblance between Gon and Jing, the captain asks if he could tell him when the storm is coming and what size it'll be, to which Gon replies that it's going to be twice as big and violent as the last one. At their current speed, they'll probably hit it in 3 hours. The captain, completely impressed with Gon, teaches him how to steer the ship and tells him to be a first-rate hunter, you're obliged to know how to handle most anything. Announcing to the larger passengers of the ship, he tells them that another storm's ahead and it's quite a doozy. And for anyone who's not up to it, there are spare lifeboats that they could use to reach the closest island. To no surprise, every single passenger except for 3 leaves the boat, and those 3 turn out to be none other than the 3 who survived the first storm and become the main protagonists of our series, those being Leorio, Gon, and Kurapika. The captain then questions why each of them want to be hunters in the first place. Gon responds that his dad's a hunter and wants to follow in his footsteps, while Leorio and Kurapika are a little more secretive and don't tell the captain outright, to which the captain then tells them that they could just both get off his ship. The both of them confused, the captain tells them that the hunter exam has actually begun the minute they got on his ship, as we see it hurtle towards a massive typhoon. He explains to them that there is about as many stars in the sky as people who want to become hunters. So not every examiner has the time to judge them thoroughly. So they hire people like the captain that not only transport them to the exam, but also screen out weak applicants. Even if the people who escaped by lifeboat were able to get to the exam site by some other way, they'd be turned away immediately. So whether the three of them qualify is his call in the end. So he asks them again why they want to be hunters. Kurapika explains that he's the last member of the Kurta clan and wants to be a hunter so he can capture the Phantom Troop, a gang of robbers that killed his brethren 4 years ago, stating that he doesn't fear death that might come of his endeavor, he only fears that his rage will one day fade over time. Leorio responds to this by stating that revenge is a silly reason for becoming a hunter, and what someone should rather strive for is money. Kurapika stating that he doesn't have an ounce of class in him, Leorio challenges him to a fight where they step outside. The captain telling them to get back inside or they'll fail the exam, Gon tells him to let them leave. If you want to know a person, find out what makes them angry. Gon explains to the captain that something serious is bugging them and it's something that they need to work out. Kurapika wielding 2 boken, which are essentially wooden swords, and Leorio brandishing a knife tells him to bring it. Before the two can clash, the mast snaps off from the boat, causing it to hurtle towards one of the crew members. Knocking him off the boat, the other crew members yell out to him as they know if he falls off the boat, he's essentially going to be a goner. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio all spring into action as they go to grab the man's ankles as he's falling off the boat. Kurapika and Leorio both miss the man, but to their surprise, Gon just jumps off the boat entirely, going to save the man at all costs. Immediately, Kurapika and Leorio grab Gon's ankles, who then grabs the man, pulling them both up together. The two of them stating how stupid Gon's decision was. He quickly responds by saying that they did grab his legs and they were there for him in the first place. Understanding that they're all there for the same goal and on the same mission, Kurapika and Leorio make amends and move on from their altercation. The captain, so impressed with this display of courage and almost narrow-mindedness, decides to drop them off on the nearest port to the exam hall. And so begins the journey of Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio as they search for the site where the hunter exam will ultimately take place. Looking around the sea of crowded people on the dock, Kurapika exclaims that most of these people are probably going the same way they are. Cutting back over to Gon, he thanks the captain for everything, and the captain wishes him good luck. As a final word of advice, he points him towards a lone pine tree on a hill, telling him that that might be a good place to start looking for the exam hall. Leorio, thinking this is going to be a waste of time, questions Gon's decision, since Zaban City, where the hunter exam will take place, is right on the map and they can't miss it. Why go up there at all the opposite way if it's just going to be a waste of time? Regardless of what Leorio thinks, Gon's going to check it out anyway, since it beats waiting for the bus anyways. Intrigued by Gon's behavior, Kurapika follows him, finding that he's interested in Gon as a person and what he may do next. Leorio thinks the two are completely stupid since he's sticking with what makes sense and what's logical. As he sits and waits for the bus, he overhears 2 hunter exam participants gossiping that none of the express buses to Zaban actually go there, essentially used as a trap to weed out hunter exam rookies. Upon hearing this, Leorio immediately sprints off to Gon and Kurapika in the distance, telling them they shouldn't go off by themselves and what may lurk beyond that hill. Gosh, I love Leorio so much. As the three walk through what seems to be an abandoned village, Kurapika and Gon exclaim that there's a lot of people here, since Kurapika can hear them breathing and Gon hears their clothes rustling in the wind. Immediately, an elderly woman and multiple village people come out to confront the trio. Without any context, the elderly woman says it's time for the mind-boggling 2-choice quiz. Since the three are heading for that pine tree, they'll have to get through this town first. And since the other trails are like a winding maze through the realms of multiple ferocious magical beasts, this route will surely be the simplest. The woman will pose a single question to the three and give them 5 seconds to answer. If incorrect, they fail the hunter exam. They must answer with a 1 or a 2, and if they say anything else, they'll fail as well. As the three argue over the fairness of this question, another aspiring hunter comes from behind them to answer this question. As this unknown hunter exam participant steps up, the elderly woman asks him the question, if rogues had taken your mother and your true love captive, who would you rescue? Answer 1 for your mother or 2 for your true love. Which one do you save? Kurapika thinks to himself that this can't be a serious question since it's subjective and filled with unquantifiable variables. There truly is no right answer. After thinking for a quick second, the unknown hunter chooses 1, his mother, thinking to himself that in reality he would choose his true love and that this elderly woman wouldn't favor the answer that he gives. When asked his reasoning for his answer, he says that one may find another true love, but one's mother is irreplaceable. Simply saying you may go, she allows the hunter through. Leorio, completely outraged, questions how this is even a part of the exam in the first place. He shouts that there could never be a right answer to this question and that this old lady is full of crap. Kurapika, noticing something, shouts out to Leorio, but the old woman quickly interrupts him, stating that there's no more chit-chat, asking them if 1, they'll continue to take the quiz, or 2, they won't. Kurapika quickly shouts 1, noticing the simple trick behind these questions. He encourages Leorio to think. The elderly woman then asks the question, if your son or daughter had been kidnapped, you can only get back 1, which one will it be? 1 for your daughter or 2 for your son? Leorio, completely pissed off at this point, thinks that she's taking him for an idiot. As she's counting down, he goes to find a stick resting against a wall, telling her that when she counts down to 0, that'll be the moment she dies. As she counts down to 0, nobody says a word. When she reaches 0, Leorio goes to hit the woman but is blocked by Kurapika. Infuriated, Leorio asks Kurapika why he blocked him, to which Kurapika responds that they passed the test. Confused, Leorio asks what he means, to which Kurapika replies that the correct response is no response. In her description, the woman told us that they could say 1 or 2, but she never told them that they had to say anything at all. Leorio questions then what happened to the hunter who passed before them, to which Kurapika clarifies that she never told him that he was right, she just told him that he could go. Not to mention he heard his scream off into the distance, so I'm pretty sure he got attacked by a magical beast. The path she sent him on isn't the right path. Revealing a door hidden off to the side, the woman says that this is the real path. It's a plain trail with no branches or forks and that they'll reach the summit in 2 hours. Leorio, apologizing to the woman for the outbreak, she says it's quite alright and that people like him make the job interesting. Hilariously, we cut over to Gon, still racking his brain to figure out an answer. The two tell him that he could stop thinking now and that they've passed the stage in the exam, but Gon questions them that what if one day you really have to make a choice like that? What would they do then? It's not a matter of being correct, it's about what's truly in your heart when the chips are down. And one must be ready for those crossroads in life if you're going to be a hunter. As they walk down the trail, Leorio tells them that the old woman said that it was a 2-hour hike, but they've been at it for 4 hours at least. She also explained to them that there's a house under the pine tree and the couple who live there are navigators. If they manage to favorably impress them, they'll see them to the exam hall. Navigators are important people because the hunter exam is held in a different place each year. It's the job of the navigators to know where it is and the guide to promising hunter applicants there. Without them, it's nearly impossible to reach it. Finally reaching the house under the pine tree, they knock on the front door asking if anyone's there. To their surprise, they open the door to find a mysterious magical beast holding a woman hostage and her supposed husband injured on the ground. Leaping through the house and the group of 3, Gon and Kurapika go after the magical beast while Leorio tends the husband on the ground. Gon quickly dashes off into the forest where he sees a faint shadow of the beast carrying the woman. Kurapika, impressed that this kid saw anything at all, states that Gon is really something. As they chase this beast into the forest, Kurapika tells Gon that this is a Kiriko and that they're shapeshifters and even can take on human forms. Gon shouts at the Kiriko, distracting him enough to speed blitz him, immediately winding up a huge hit and whacking him across the head with his fishing pole. When Kurapika catches the woman, he asks her if she's feeling any pain. Surprisingly, Leorio appears from out of the bushes asking Kurapika if he's okay. When Kurapika questions if the man's alright, Leorio states that he just has a couple scrapes and bruises and it's nothing really serious. Kurapika throws his wooden sword at Leorio, hitting him square in the face, and we see him undergo a transformation into a Kiriko. When he asks how he knew, Kurapika just tells him it was a lucky mistake because he was going to hit Leorio anyway for abandoning the man that he said he would look after. Immediately suspicious, Kurapika then questions the injured woman, asking who she is. as her face of concern turns into a devious smile. As we pan back over to Gon, we see him facing the Kiriko that he laid a huge hit on in an open field. Kiriko tells him that he's got pretty good moves and he actually got a hit on him, but that stroke is gonna cost him as he grows his claw to extreme proportions. Lunging in to attack Gon, Gon just stands there and introduces himself. He questions where the beast he actually hit is. Because you're surely not it. The Kiriko, completely shocked, asks how he even figured that out, to which Gon says that her face is nothing like his, and that her voice is a little thinner and higher pitched too. The Kiriko, laughing extremely hard, calls his wife to take a look at what they have found, stating that it's been ages since a human was able to tell them apart, as the two nearly identical beasts sit next to each other. The four Kiriko are actually the navigators, with the supposed husband and wife actually being the daughter and son of the two. The tattoo on the woman's arms were actually a sign of chastity, meaning that she never had a spouse, which Kurapika realized immediately. Leorio, on the other hand, didn't figure out the husband, but did apply exceptional first aid skills with great diligence and compassion. Meanwhile, Gon displayed extraordinary agility and perception that few humans have ever shown. All passing, the four Kiriko take the three to the exam site against the backdrop of the moonlit sky. But if this was just a screening, what would the real exam hold for them? And that's exactly what I'll be covering in the next video, detailing all of the events of the Hunter exam. These videos are super time consuming to make, so if you could show your support by liking, commenting, or subscribing, that would be greatly appreciated. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, it's been Dill with Anime Analysis, and until next time, stay curious, anime fam. Peace.